Woody Paige, ESPN Around the Horn contributor and Denver Gazette columnist. And how's morale in Denver today, Woody?
First, I want you to say hello to my little friend,
Oh,
Woody.
Woody. Oh, there he is. I'm Buzz Lightyear. I can fly.
I just felt like I should bring a prop to your show.
How's morale today in Denver?
Well, it looks like it's going to snow. That tends to make people unhappy. But we saw a game last night that belonged in the leather helmet period of football, I think. If that didn't prove that there doesn't belong a Thursday night football game, I don't know what would. Neither team looked like they wanted to play.
Okay,
I called it horse pit.
But if I look at the Broncos, they're a couple of plays from being 4-1. And granted, they're not a 4-1 type team, but they're not that far away from winning these games, even though they haven't been impressive. So if you look at this, at what point do you say this is who the Broncos are going to be this season? After 5 games, is this who these Broncos are?
Yeah, I don't think we're at the Bill Parcells point where you are what you are. What's lost in all of this is the Broncos really have a great defense. It's in the top 3-4 in the league, and they're doing it without Justin Simmons, who's an all-pro. They lost Gregory last night. He wasn't able to play in the game. Browning got hurt. Josie Jewell, a starter linebacker, and they still managed to give up 4 field goals. They have been playing defensively incredibly. Now I've gotten that out of the way. Russell Wilson had a bad shoulder during the week, and it looked like it last night. I mean, he couldn't hit the side of a barn, as we would say in the South. And he has been, to be fair, he's been terrible. So when you say they could have won 4 games, yes, but they need Russell Wilson that we all know Russell Wilson is. They needed Melvin Gordon to be what he used to be in San Diego. They need an offensive line that's good, and it's not very good. They have no tight ends whatsoever. They're dependent totally on Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, and Jerry Jeudy really has not developed into the first-round draft choice that he was in that year of all the great young wide receivers drafted. So when you say that they should be 4-1, they could be easily 0-5 on the other side, because offensively they're just horrific. And I'm wondering about Nathaniel Hackett in terms of not being fired. They're not going to fire anybody, but here's a guy that is bringing in more coaches. He already has more coaches than anybody in the league, and now he's got 31 assistant coaches. Can you believe that? I remember when teams in Denver had 6 defensive and offensive coaches.
But you mentioned the defense, Woody, and that's what I didn't understand, the play calling. Why not kick the field goal? Why not go up by 6? Colts have no timeouts. There's going to be 2 minutes left, just under 2 minutes left, and make them go the field to score a touchdown against your defense. That, to me, makes the most sense at home.
Well, what they've done this year hasn't made any sense. What they did, here's an interesting point last night. After the game, Hackett told us, he said, I wanted to win the game. I wanted to put it in Russell's place to go for it on 4th down. This is the same coach who didn't want to put it in Russell Wilson's hands. In Seattle, he chose to kick the longest field goal in the history of the NFL, and it certainly didn't work out. This job is too big for Nathaniel Hackett at this point. Everybody thought, here's a guy that worked with Aaron Rodgers. He was with the Green Bay Packers. They had an incredible offense. He was the offensive coordinator. He never called the plays. And even Rodgers has said again recently, he made being at practice fun. He turned me around and made me enjoy the game again. That's not happening here. You asked about morale. I've given you a long-winded answer, but there were people leaving the stadium at the end of regulation. Can you imagine? You just mentioned Jurassic Park, that the original Jurassic Park. Would you have left the movie theater when you're getting to the climax of the movie? Why in the world would you come out last night if you didn't want to see an overtime game? The last time we saw an overtime game in Denver, a guy named Tebow was throwing the football in overtime to beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs. So morale, people booing the Broncos all the time. Every game they've been booed on the road and at home. They were booed in Vegas because there were 10 or 20,000 Broncos fans there. It's a bad situation because people expected, with a new coach, new general manager from 2 years ago, new quarterback that's been an all-pro forever, and a new ownership that paid record amounts in North America for franchise. And you got this mess that they've had under Vic Fangio and Vance Joseph for the last 5 years. Sure, morale is at its lowest point. Last night, I think they turned the blue and red lights, or blue and orange lights that they had on City Hall. I think they turned them off at the third period.
It feels like this is open season on Russell Wilson. Why do you think that is? That, he feels like he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Feels nationally it's open season on Russ.
He was supposed to come here after this string of a dozen quarterbacks since Peyton Manning retired and turn the situation around, be Russell Wilson of not last year. He was hurt 4 or 5 games last year, but the Russell Wilson of the past. You have to wonder now in Denver if the Seattle Seahawks said, gee, it's time to get rid of him. He's turned the corner. He's on the slide down rather than the rise up, because they got a boatload of draft picks and a couple of players, and he has been mediocre. I mean, that's the best thing. What he does best is get outside, find a play. They aren't doing that. They're trying to keep him in the pocket. He's trying to adjust to a Aaron Rodgers type offense where Rodgers would occasionally take off, doesn't occasionally take off and run, but rarely. But Russell Wilson, and the offense with Nathaniel Hackett hasn't worked, and he doesn't have the talent at tight end. This is the worst room for tight ends in the league, and they just really don't have options offensively. And now they lose Williams, their best running back, and they looked horrendous last night. But they're the worst team in the league when they get in the red zone. And you ask why they didn't kick the field goal. When you can't score a touchdown, you got to keep yourself in the game and kick a field goal. Yeah. And what's funny, and I'll end on this, is Hackett brought in a veteran coach to help him make those decisions in Rosberg, and he's still making bad decisions on timeouts, game management. It's a pitiful situation here. They looked pathetic last night, but both teams, Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson, don't look like the guys that won Super Bowls. They look like guys that should retire.
Good to talk to you as always, Woody. Are you on Around the Horn today?
I don't think so. I tried to beg in to talk about the baseball playoffs, but they said, we'll save you the money Monday.
Oh.
I think they're trying to save them money.
Thank you, Woody. Great to talk to you again.
Say hello to all the guys.
I will. That's Woody Paige, ESPN Around the Horn contributor for 20 years now, Denver Gazette columnist. Woody said hi to you guys, by the way. Yeah.
Hi, Woody.
Yeah. He can't hear you when you wave, though.